Well, hello everyone, welcome. We are so glad you're joining us for our first online workshop series. We are the student chapter of the National Press Photographers Association of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I'm Emily, the president of our chapter. This session is being recorded in order for it to be a resource in the future, and once we have it uploaded, we'll share the recording with everyone. Everyone is muted, but please feel free to use the chat for any questions or comments. I'm here if anyone needs help, but I'll pass it over to Jeremiah to lead our session.
Okay, give me a second. This is so complicated. What am I doing? Sorry, this is my first time presenting over Zoom for anything, so forgive me. Okay, well, okay, here we go. Okay, thank you all so much for coming. My name is Jeremiah. Please forgive the balloons in the background. My name is Jeremiah. I am 22. I just graduated from UNC in the visual communications or the journalism and media program with a concentration in photo and video journalism. And I'm super excited to be here today. Okay, all right. Okay, so we're just gonna go over a couple of things before we get started. So some objectives, I just think that it's important for us to maybe like lay out what I hope that you all will gain from this. So first, I want you to get a feel for how to efficiently manage your files. I want you to understand the importance of organization during the process of filmmaking and video production. And that's important at like whatever stage you find yourself in. Just having that, you know, at any circumstance, like knowing how to efficiently organize your files is just going to help you a lot when you get to longer, bigger, more expansive projects. I want you to get an overall feel for the Premiere interface and just sort of the basics of how to work in there. I want you to walk away with some incredibly life-saving shortcuts in Premiere that will just make your life much faster and make your editing experience much faster. Excuse me, and we'll do an intro into cutting footage and making sequences and all that kind of stuff in Premiere as well. This is important. Structuring files is incredibly important, and organization is so important, especially when you get into projects that are, you know, more than one person. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to be doing or talking about, I learned from my professor my sophomore year, Ligaya Romero. They are a freelance documentary filmmaker, and we took a class, an intro to or advanced documentary filmmaking, and made a group, like a class project documentary called Silent Sam, and that was 27 people. So it was like super important for us to have a shared language of how we're going to organize files. That way, when we were, you know, handing off hard drives to one another, we knew what we were going to, you know, be looking for once we got someone else's hard drive. So it's really important. It's also just like important in your own workflow for when you like want to go look back on projects that you did a year or two ago, that you know where you can find those and be able to access those easily because you've kind of used a standard for organizing your files. And then I'm going to go over some quick definitions that I may use. If anything else that I say doesn't click or you're not sure what I'm talking about, feel free to put in the chat and interrupt me, like whatever you need to do. I want this to be helpful for everyone, so totally no rush or no worries. But I'm going to be talking about exports at one point, and essentially what an export is an export is when you are in Premiere. It's when you're, you know, you made a sequence in Premiere, you put your film or your rough draft or your rough cut, as we call it, or whatever together, and you want to take it from in the Premiere app to like a MP4 file that anyone can watch easily. So that's what I mean when I say that. Premiere is the video editing software in the Adobe Creative Cloud suite. There's Premiere, there's Lightroom, there's After Effects, there's a bunch of different programs you can get, and they're all for different purposes. Lightroom for photo editing, After Effects is for motion graphics and stuff, and then Premiere is for video. So we'll be working mostly in Premiere. And like I said, those are just two basic ones, and then as I begin to talk more, I may flag something in my head of like, I might not know what that is, so I will define that. And if I miss it and don't define it for you or don't define it well enough, please feel free to ask, because like I said, I want everyone to learn something from this. just a little about me. My name is Jeremiah. I go by he, him, his pronouns. As you see, I'm not qualified at all to be here teaching this, but we're going to do it together and get through it. I can't stress to you how unqualified I am to be here, but it's really fine. I am a video producer and a documentary filmmaker, freelance filmmaker. I'm currently based in Houston, Texas, so I'm an hour behind you all. And I am currently working for the Texas Tribune. Yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm gonna, okay, all right. Oh, did someone have a chat? I see a chat. Oh, okay, Hannah. That's not true. Okay, so your files are essentially the base of filmmaking. Whenever you have your camera and you click record and you click record again to stop, your camera is making a file and it's an individual file. So every single time you press record and stop record, it's gonna make a new file, and that file will exist on your memory card that's in your camera. And so when you put the memory card into your computer, and you open your Finder window or whatever, however you access the things that you put into your computer, you will see a bunch of different files that are essentially every video that you recorded. And let's see what's next. Okay, yes. So these are all of a couple of my files from a project that I worked on in the spring. I was in this class called International Projects, and we essentially put together a bunch of filmmakers and photojournalists and reporters and web designers. And we all got together and we essentially spent the first half of the semester preparing to go abroad to Belize this semester. And we essentially produce a story project, a multimedia project based off of a particular topic. And this topic was climate change. And I got to work with a really good friend of mine, Matthew Westmoreland. He and I worked together to produce this documentary called Bitter and Sweet. That's about this indigenous Mayan chocolate producer in Belize named Julio, and sort of how climate change is affecting his business and how important this practice is to his culture, and sort of how that's dying out as a result. I see another question. Oh, nice, Emily. You can check it out at the link that Emily put in the chat, and while you're at it, you should check out everything else that's on the website too, because it's incredible. But this is in my hard drive what my files look like. Ignore the XML files. If you're working on most cameras, you won't have those. They're just it's like a code. So I've never used it. I don't really know what it's for. It doesn't really matter. Just focus on the MP4s. And so essentially what will happen is, ideally you would put your files on a hard drive, and this is where hard drives look like. They can come in a bunch of different brands. I have entirely too many, but essentially what they're for is essentially a storage place for all of your projects. I know your computer can seem like a great place to host or to hold files, but your computer may shut down. You may get a new one, and also computers don't have unlimited storage, and so it's good to have hard drives that are like just for your video work or photo work or whatever. They're a bit expensive, but if you can afford it, I'd recommend getting two, because I'm pretty sure everyone on this call that has done anything with a hard drive has had a hard drive crash and stop working. And it's like really great to have an extra one that still has backup files on it. I remember my 21st birthday, actually, which is why I'll never forget it. I was editing something the night before. It was like 1 a.m. and I didn't back up my footage because I was like, I'm going to finish it real quick. It's like any big deal, no problem. It was one of my first projects I was working on. And I was exporting everything. I was done. And I was studying. So I had like a book in front of me and the computer like behind the book. And I closed my book and it knocked my hard drive out as it was exporting. And so I like freaked out, and I blew into like the little hard drive port like you do in video games. And I like said a quick prayer and I put it back into my computer, and my entire interview was gone. And I didn't back it up, so it was just gone. So like it happens, and it's not fun at all, and it happens kind of often. So I have friends who have awful luck, and my friend Giovanna, I think all of her hard drives have crashed. Hannah has awful luck. It just depends on who you are. But just in case you have bad luck, I'd recommend always having a backup. And so, yeah, so essentially you'll just put all your files on that, and you can put them on your computer too, if that's the cool backup for you. Just make sure you back them up. Check the chat. Yes, I think I have like 10 hard drives in total, and I think maybe 3 of them still work. So it happens. So yeah, just be aware of that. So yeah, these are files. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go into the hard drive naming conventions and organization. So like I said, hard drives are great to have. You can get them from essentially any like store that has technology. You can go to Best Buy, you can go to a Walmart, you can get them from online. I'd recommend if you go to UNC, don't go to the student stores for them unless you absolutely have to, because they're way overpriced there, as is everything else. But that's a whole different Zoom call that we can have about that. But yeah, you can get it from virtually anywhere, and you can get different kinds of brands. Like I have this one, which is like the Lacey, by it's like orange out rim, and then I have these Seagates, and they all come with like the hard drive and a cord that plugs into a USB. I think they all come with USB. So if you have a certain Mac, I think you might have to get like an adapter or something. And then I recommend getting cases for them as well. Just because, like I said, they're fragile, things happen. And when things happen, it's like not fun for anybody. So yes, those are your hard drives, super important. Excuse me. And they can range from like, I think a couple gigs to, I think mine are like 2 terabyte. You can get like 5 terabyte. And obviously the more space you have, the more expensive they are. So, but yeah, I recommend for like, I usually get mine in like 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte. Like I'll always get a 1 or 2 terabyte hard drive, usually never less. Yes, now we're going to get into naming conventions and organization. Okay, so hard drives, like I said, are important. When you first get your hard drive, what I recommend you doing, the first thing you should do is to format your hard drive. So essentially what happens is when you get a hard drive, your hard drive is formatted, and when you put it into your computer, it automatically formats to whatever, I don't know what the term is, but like whatever format your computer is in. So Macs and PCs have different, like different formats. And so if you put it in, you begin to use it, and you switch from say Mac to PC, you won't be able to switch it. So when you first get your hard drive, you can Google how to do this. I won't get too in depth into it because I want to make sure we have enough time. But you can Google it. You will want to format your hard drive so that it can work on both Macs and PCs. Why it doesn't do it, I don't know, but it doesn't. So you want to do that, and the reason why you do it when you first get it is because it has to wipe your hard drive to do that. And so if you have 2 full hard drives and you didn't format them and you want to switch them, you just have to like dump one and hope your other one doesn't crash in the process. So when you first get it, when it's already empty, just do that automatically. That way you're good, you're set. Yeah, super important. And again, you can like literally Google how to format a hard drive for Mac or for PC or for both Mac and PC. And I think it's like, I think it's called XFAT is like your Mac and PC formatting. And then FAT32, I think is like just Mac or just PC or something. They're all weird names, but yes. And then folders. So in your hard drive, you'll organize it, or you should organize it by different folders. So I have them by just a random audio dump that I did of some random footage that I had. My freelance work is in one, my media hub work, which is a class, is in another. And then I have all these classes. I have miscellaneous. So just like I just have every different thing in a different folder. That way I know where everything is, and everything is, where it should be. Just like you like your room, like you want to know where everything is. You want everything to be in its proper place. Same deal with hard drives, except it's a lot more frustrating than I think your bedroom being messy is. So be aware of that. Okay, so this is for the project that I worked on with Matthew, Bitter and Sweet. And this is essentially when you're working on a project, how you want to like organize your folder. So you should have 8 folders in like your initial big picture folder. Okay, cool. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. That wasn't on purpose. I'm such a spaz. I don't know what I'm doing here. This was a mistake. I told you, Hana, you shouldn't have picked me for this. Sorry, hold up. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'll just keep going anyways. So, oh, perfect. All right, this is amazing. This is really fun for me. This isn't embarrassing at all. Okay, cool. So, and as you can see, once this comes up, I've named my hard drive. So they all have different names, just so that I can keep track of them. Um, I have a JR2 and a JR1, and then I have like a bunch of other ones. So essentially what I have is I have, again, 8 folders. The first one is underscore PR, which is my Premiere project folder. And so that one hosts the Premiere project. And then I have 1 underscore video, and that's where all my video files will live. So interviews, B-roll, verite, video portraits, everything is in 1 video. You have 2 audio, which is all my recorded audio. So interview audio, if I use my Zoom recorder to get audio at an event or something, then I put that in there. If it's not directly connected to footage, it'll go in audio. And you have 3 graphics, and like you may not use all of these. Like I don't think I use graphics or photos, but it's just like good to get in the practice of outlining them, because again, I've worked on films where we have used all of them, and so it's just like good to get in the practice of using, or of at least making all of them. So you have graphics, which are your graphics. You have 4 music, which is music. 5 photos. So if you're using archival photo or anything like that, that'll go in your photos. You have your exports, which again, like I mentioned, are when you take it from Premiere as to an MP4 file, so you can watch it or send it to people. And then you have your documents. Documents would be if you had like waivers. So if you were like photographing people and you wanted a waiver just saying like, I can send it to this, I'm not getting paid for this, like put all your waivers in there, all your releases, you put your contracts, all that kind of stuff would go in your documents. So this is my PR, my Premiere folder. And inside of it is, like you see, my master sequence. And that is the project that he and I worked in. And then you have your autosave and your audio preview. So these come in handy every once in a while. It's one of those things where like you hate them when you have them, but like once you need it, you'll wish you had it. So you're essentially, what'll happen when you're in Premiere is Premiere will autosave every 5, 10, you can set it, but every couple of minutes. And it's also a good practice just to save it yourself as well pretty regularly, just in case anything happens. But so if your Premiere crashes and you haven't saved in a while, if you haven't, so the shortcut for saving is Command S or Control S in Premiere. And so if you haven't Command S or Control S or File Save, and your Premiere crashes, you can go into your autosave folder and it'll still keep, every time it autosaves, it'll keep it as its own file. So you can just click that and it'll open whatever the last autosave was. Which obviously probably won't be perfect, but as close as you're gonna get. So yes, that's what all lives in your PR folder, and that should only be used for your projects. This is the video folder. So this is a naming convention, as you see on the bottom left. For verite scenes, you'll do year, 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 month, month, date, date, and then you'll do the underscore event name, underscore location, and then underscore your initials. So as you see for, in mine, I have 2020, 03, 06, that's March 6, 2020, underscore the event name was, we were shooting Julio at 5 a.m. So 5 a.m. with Julio, underscore location was the Cha'il Mayan Chocolate Factory, and then underscore my initials, JR. For interviews, you'll do year, 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 month, month, date, date, underscore last name, first name of the person, underscore INTV, which is the shorthand for interview, and then underscore your initials. So as you can see, the third one down on my file, I have 2020 03 08, which is March 8th, 2020, underscore Saki Julio, his name is Julio Saki, underscore INTV for interview, and underscore JR for my initials. And if you're working with someone else, you'll put the cinematographer's initials. So you may have a producer who's the person who's kind of like asking the questions, facilitating the interview, probably has like a deeper connection with the person than you do. And then your job is like camera. So I might make sure all the shots look good. I might be taking audio. And usually in college, we like did one-man bands, they call them, which is like we just did everything. But that's like less common as you get into the industry. You'll usually like, I get hired to do like just editing jobs or just cinematographer or DP or photography jobs, or just producer. So usually won't, you may like dip into other people's things, but you'll usually have like the thing that you do. One-man banding isn't super common. So that's that. For video portraits, you'll do year, month, date, underscore last name, first name, underscore video P for video portrait, underscore your initials. And a video portrait is essentially, I don't use them very often. I don't know if I ever have actually, but I take them just in case. Essentially, after an interview, it's just good practice to like have them sit in front of the camera and just like look in front of the camera and just like roll it, just in case you want like a nice, calm, like just like an establishing shot of what this person looks like normally. And it, you can do it like in their house where they're comfortable and kind of like show who they are, or they can be used very well. I don't have video portrait skills. So like I said, I've never made one good enough to use, but I know folks that have. So just take them just in case. Yes. Any questions on that? Nope. Okay, sweet. Let's move on. So this is my audio folder. So like I said, your audio folder will hold everything that's taken that's not coupled with footage. So what I mean by that is a file, like a video file, will have your camera will record audio because your camera has an internal microphone, or if you have a shotgun microphone on top, it's going to record that into your camera. So that audio is coupled with the video. And when you're in Premiere, you can like mix and match and like get rid of them. But essentially, in your Finder, in your Finder window, your audio is always with that video. So if it's not that, so if you are doing an interview, right, you may do a lav mic on your interview collaborator, on your subject, as some people call them. You will be recording into a separate recorder, so you have to sync them, the video and the audio, when you get into Premiere. So if it's not automatically coupled with video, it'll go into your audio folder. So, and you'll want to use the same naming conventions as you did for the video. Like I said, it just makes it really easy to access things. And in the future, it'll be easy to find things if you ever want to like go back to projects, or, sometimes people will contact you and be like, hey, I saw your film. Like, I want to license some of your footage from your film that you made 3 years ago. Can I get some of that? Like, I'll pay you for your footage. And so you won't want to say like, I can't, because I can't find the footage. So you'll want to, have a common and clear naming convention. That way you can say like, yes, I got you, make that bread, get that glop, go find that folder because you know where it is because you named them all correctly, and sign that contract, send it off, get paid, period. So same naming convention as your other stuff. So for the Julio interview, which was use a Zoom recorder and a separate lav mic, it's 2020-03-08 underscore Saki Julio underscore INTV underscore JR, just like the interview video. I took some separate audio when we were with him harvesting. And so that is 2020-03, excuse me, I gotta sneeze, never mind. 0310 underscore harvest underscore forest underscore JR. And harvest was the event, forest is the location. So that's your audio files. Okay, so Premiere is essentially like where the magic happens. That is where your film goes, or your project, or your piece. I realize we have so many different like names for video. Like, we're videographers, we're video producers, we're filmmakers. Like, I don't really know. There's just so much to know, or so many terms. But that is like where you are working, and that is where the magic happens. So that is where your files go from individual, files into a put together film. That's where your 14 hours of footage in the bitter and sweet case ends up going into a 5-minute film. Like, that is where all of that happens. Excuse me. Premiere is super intimidating when you first look at it. It's really complicated, unnecessarily so, if you ask me. But it's kind of daunting, but hopefully it's something that like, once you get it, you got it. And you're like, you may have like individual questions, but like once you've gotten a lesson and using it, you're like, okay, this all makes sense. So I'm hoping that after this, you can walk away saying like, it's a lot, but I think it makes sense. And my email address is at the end of this. So if you have any questions and want to reach out to me to ask other questions, feel free. Like I said, this is going to be recorded, like Emily said, so you can look at it later. But yeah, so I hope that once you see this lesson, you'll be like, okay, I can do this. It's not that hard. It's just, I got to learn, and hopefully you'll learn. So this is what will happen when you type in Premiere in your Adobe Creative Cloud, or in if it's on your computer, and this is what will open up. I think Premiere, is it like a monthly fee or is it a pay one time? It's something like that. We have to pay for it. It's kind of expensive, which sucks. But if you're in like a journalism program, you can check and see if your school has it. Like we all got it for free at UNC as students. So I have to pay for it soon because I'm not a student anymore and I'm not happy about that, but it's fine. I'm dreading the day. But so, you can see if your school has it. I think at UNC, every student gets a whole Creative Cloud for free. So check and see if your school has it. It's a great resource. Premiere is amazing, but this is what'll open up when you first get into Premiere. And then so you'll click, sorry, I should go back and explain all this. Oh, okay. I don't know why I can't go back in this thing. This is insane. Also, I'm sorry for the shadows. It's like getting darker here, so my face is a wreck. Oh, wow. Okay. So, sorry, I'm gonna go back up here. So when you're starting a new project, you'll obviously click New Project. You can do a team project. I can't stand team projects, but we use them at my job now, and I actually kind of dig them. So love-hate relationship there. I think like Premiere, once you get them, you got it, but it's like a kind of a steep learning curve. So you'll do, if you do team project, you can do a new team project. And what you can do with team project is you can work with like someone who's like not with you. So during the pandemic, it was great for me and Matthew to get to like work in tandem without actually like sharing space together. And so essentially what you'll do is you can edit and you can like send all your changes to whoever else has shared with you. And so they can then like click a button and receive your changes. And then they're now editing on the latest updated version. So you can do team project if you're working in a team. Or if it's by yourself, or if you can like share space together and you can like meet up for lunch every day or something and edit together, you can just do new project. If you do open project, you can just hit open project and find the project that you were working on. So that's if you have like already started working with something. So new project is where you'll go. And then, there's a pointer on here. That's kind of cool. I'm afraid to use it. I'm not going to use it actually. Sorry, I get distracted really easily. So the top, you'll see the name. So this is bitter and sweet _ PR. So you'll name it, the film name, or if you don't have like a set title yet, just like for my capstone film that never got finished because F COVID, I just named it like capstone _ PR. So whatever you need to name it, but always do _ PR. That way, this is my Premiere file. And I think it's really nice that you can do like spaces in file names. People don't use them very often, but I personally love them. It just like looks better to not have everything like smushed together. So I like spaces just because I get overwhelmed when everything is smushed together. So, but that's there. And then location, you'll put where you want the file to go. So you can click browse and it'll open up your Finder window and you can literally like click exactly where you want it to go and click OK, and it'll save it to that place. So for here, it'll go in volumes, which is like where all of your external hard drives will go when you plug them in. So volumes, JR2 is the hard drive name that I'm using. And then JR that should be the film name, but me and Matthew did not do the correct naming convention. So I like tried to make up a good one for you all today because we were a mess in terms of like naming files and stuff. So that should be, if we did everything right, that should say bittersweet or bitter and sweet, or international projects or whatever you needed to call it. And then it'll save in the PR folder because you want your Premiere project to be in your PR folder. You should leave all of these things generally the same, except for your capture format. Your capture format will normally be in DV automatically by default, and you may just want to change it to HDV. That's what we always do. But yeah, everything else should kind of stay the same, and then you'll click OK, and this is what will come up. So like I said, there's a lot going on here. And I will explain it all a little bit better when we get into Premiere, and I can screen share and kind of show you, point to stuff and everything, but I'll just try and explain a little bit from here. So the things at the top, so you have learning, assembly, editing, color, effects, audio, graphics, libraries. Those are essential. Actually, I want to point to things. So I'm going to wait to do this until I get into Premiere with you all. So this is what it'll look like. to Premiere. Okay, I'm still screen sharing, right? Amazing. So this is Premiere. So it'll look like this, but essentially blank when you know haven't put anything in there yet. So you have learning, assembly, editing, color, effects, audio, graphics, and libraries. These are essentially all like different interfaces that you can choose between. So they don't really change much, but like your, you know, editing one may like get rid of this bar right here and put it somewhere else, or your color one will replace this with the color, like color correcting menu right here, and it'll move the effects. So it doesn't really change much, but it just like moves things around for you. I leave mine usually in editing or effects, so I can show you what it'll look like when you change it actually. So if you change it to editing, it'll take a second, and it essentially just like moved my effect controls panel that was over here to right here. So it just like moves things around. Like I said, not a huge deal. And then it moved the effects to right here. So, and then you can do, so I usually leave my stuff here in editing until I go into color correcting, and that goes into color. So it just depends on where you are. But it doesn't really matter that much. So you have essentially 4 panels here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. Also, if my like pointing isn't, like if you can't see something and you didn't get something, please put it in the chat so I can be clear about it. This is your source monitor in the top left. And essentially what this does is this will give you a preview of what you're clicking on. So actually, I'm gonna start here in the bin folder. So this is your project panel. So essentially what you'll wanna do is you'll essentially just duplicate what you have in your hard drive into Premiere. And the only difference is that you won't duplicate the PR sequence because you're already in your Premiere folder, too meta. And then you have your sequences, which is going to be a sequence is essentially like a timeline that you'll have, which will be in the bottom right-hand corner thing, a sequence. And that's where you like put things together. You can like cut clips and move things around, and so that's where like all the editing will happen is in your sequences. And there's no sequence here right now, which is why you don't see anything, but I'll show you in a second. So yeah, so you'll essentially just import everything except for the PR folder, and then you'll add sequences to the bottom. And so this is, I just put, like I said, there are 13 hours of footage on here, so I was not about to put all those in here. But here are a couple of the shoots that we did. And so essentially this is where all my stuff lives. Sorry, that's the garage door. And I used, so, oh, this is important that I should note. So for your interview, you may end up doing a 2-camera interview setup, which I think Zara went over a little bit and how to set up an interview. And if you haven't looked at that, definitely worth looking at because Zara's incredible and a great teacher. So yeah, so when you have a 2-camera interview setup, you'll literally have like a wide shot and you'll have a medium shot and like a close-up shot. And so you'll essentially, like I said, you'll have 2 separate cameras, 2 separate memory cards. And so you'll want to separate those in your file structuring and in your Premiere folder. So for instance, where's interview? INTV. So we have cam A, which is our wide cam. I don't know how this is going to look, but this is, let's see. Yeah. So this is our wide shot here, and this is the interview. And then, so that's cam A, and that's all in your interview folder. And then cam B will be your close-up. So this is what our close-up looked like. Yes, this is that. So you'll want to split them up again, just because you want to be able to know, because you won't use them all for the same purposes. Like you'll use cam A for certain things and cam B for certain things. So keeping them separate is really helpful. So yeah, so these are all of my things, and I love labeling things in Premiere. I think it's really helpful. It's like, doesn't make a huge difference to everybody, but like for me, it just like speeds up my process. So what labeling is, you can change the color of your folders and clips in the sequence, which we'll get into in a second. So what I would do is I would, right click on video and go to label, and you can do any of these colors. My favorite is cerulean because I love saying cerulean. So use cerulean. This one can be, we can make graphics like a brown. Oh, that's green. That's definitely not brown. Like a brown, whatever you want it to do. And that's just, I don't know. I think it's helpful. But if I were you, I would like write out a common labeling convention so that like in all your films, that like magenta is video and cerulean is audio, and for whatever project that you're working on. So that is that. Yeah, how about that there? And then the top left is your source monitor. So essentially, say I'm thinking about putting in, let's say, I don't know okay, so also about filmmaking, most of your shots aren't good. So I'm going to click on one and we're just going to see if it's good or not. Like I said, they're like a bunch of, shaky shots and like me trying to find an angle. And so I'm just going to click on something and we're just going to see what happens. Okay. All right. In reference to the bottom left, you can change like essentially whatever you want to in this. You can make them, instead of like just text. So you can, ideally, if this were working correctly and weren't so overloaded, you could you get like a preview of what the shot is before you click on it or whatever. You can organize things this way, or you can organize everything by name. So for some reason, I don't know why it does this, but sometimes when you get everything in Premiere, it doesn't order your files by like their particular name. And so you can, click this thing and you can go to wherever the name button is, and it'll put them on order by the file number, which is essentially, it'll be like in the order that you shot the files in. You can find things. I find the finding thing to be really unhelpful. Like it's never helped me before. I've like tried it, but it doesn't really work that well. Yeah, I think Zyra agrees. It's just weird. So you can change all this stuff. I've never used this before, but this is overwhelming, so I'm not even gonna do that. So you have all this. You can zoom in, zoom out, whatever you need to do. So say I was thinking about putting in this shot right here, 56, but I wasn't sure what it looked like, and so I don't want to put it in my sequence just yet because what if it's no good? So I double click on it, and it'll bring it up in my source monitor. So what I can do is I can, look at it in my monitor and just like see how it looks, see what I'm feeling. I don't love that one, but I want a shot that's like that. So I'm gonna look through my whatever. Once this decides to start working again, it's okay. Yeah, so let's just say 58. Let's see. How does this one look? Oh, that one's kind of cool, but I don't really love it that much either. We're gonna keep looking. And Premiere is really slow on my laptop because it's a laptop. Desktops are much better for Premiere. So if you can get a desktop, would recommend getting a desktop, or using like ones at your school if your school has a Creative Cloud. I'll show this 53. Oh, okay. This is nice. Wow. Cool. But I'm not crazy about it. Let's try this one, 62. I wanted a wider shot anyways. Oh, perfect. This is the one. This is the one that I wanted. I don't know what this is. So essentially what you can do, a very cool shortcut, is say I wanted this clip, but I didn't want the whole clip. I just wanted like this little bit right here, him just swiping the thing. So I would press the I key, which is an in point, and then I would press play, or you can zoom, or you can move it over and say I wanted to stop it here. I would press O, which is out point. And so that means that it's only going to drag and take what I have inned and outed. I don't know what that means. What I have pressed I for and what I whatever's in those boundaries. And if I wanted to take just the audio, I would go to this thing right here and it says drag audio only, just drag the audio. If I wanted to drag just the video and not the audio, I would do drag video only. If I wanted to do the whole thing, I could just click on the picture or whatever and drag it. So that's that. I don't know what this does. Never used it before. Doesn't do anything. So perfect. So that's that. And so what this does is this is your program tab. So this will show whatever is in your sequence. So your sequence is will essentially just have like the file name, the length of it, and then you'll get to see what those files are in your program thing. So I'm going to make a sequence. So I'm going to go back to my project. And so you can click this to like look at all your project bins. If you're a stickler for organization, like I should be, but I'm not, you can like close out all of your bins except for your project one. So I may use this one and be like, okay, I don't want it to be too cluttered. So I will, close this panel and, maybe I'll close and I'll leave these panels open. And this is just good because if you have like a bunch of different folders, you'll have to like scroll down like this menu to like find your folders. So keep it organized. So I'll go back to my project bin, which has everything in it. I'll go to sequences and I'll go to right click and I'll click new item. And I'll click sequence. When I'm in sequence, if you're shooting on what we have at the J School, which is a Canon 5D Mark III or Mark IV, you'll probably be shooting DSLR, which is digital SLR. You'll be shooting in 1080p, probably, and 24 frames per second. So your frame rate, so your 24, 30, 60, whatever, it's essentially that like determines if you're shooting in like regular motion or slow motion. Most of your footage will be in 24 frames per second. So you will go to sequence name and you can name it, let's say I wanted to name it, I just name this dummy for now. That's a lot of M's. Which I think is kind of cool. Dummy. So do dummy, you'll find digital SLR, you'll click the down arrow, you'll do 1080. You can do either of these, but you'll probably do 1080, drag this down, then you'll do DSLR right here, 24 frames per second. Okay, so now you have a sequence. This is what it looks like. So you have video tracks 1, 2, and 3. These are your video, and you can add more if you need. And then you have your audio 1, 2, and 3. These all have little icons next to them. So what this is say I have, actually I'm just gonna show you. So say I wanna drag this clip in, I'm gonna drag this in here. So this happens because I did not shoot on we have a question. Great question. That's actually, how did I figure? I think I just guess, honestly. It usually isn't a big deal. But yes, I would Google. It just depends on like what kind of camera you have. Different cameras will use different different settings for your sequence. So just like check and see what like settings you're shooting on and go from there. I know for mine, I use it's like a bunch of like the last alphabet letters, like ZDVX or something. It just depends. So yeah, I would just Google it depending on what kind of camera you have. But so my camera is not, I'm not shooting on a Mark III or Mark IV, so I'm not in these settings, but I'm gonna put them in here just for S&G. So it's gonna put keep existing settings. So you can change it to make it fit what files you're putting in, or you can just say keep. So I'm gonna keep these settings and I can hit the plus key to zoom in, and then I can hit the minus key to zoom out. So I'm gonna zoom in, and so this is what I have. So I have this shot, and this is just what it's doing. And this is how long it is. So say I wanted to take this shot, and so the reason why you would have more than one video and audio track is it coming? Oh, excuse me. So say I wanted like this shot to be on here. And yeah, I'm in the middle of editing. I'm all-nighter. I'm tired. I don't really feel like deleting everything, but I want to switch shots. So I might just go here and let's see this one. Let's say I want to use what do you want to use? We're gonna use this shot instead. So I like this shot more. This one's more better. I think I'm into this one. So I'm just gonna do in, because I want from here to, let's say here, in, out. But I want just the video. I don't want the audio. So instead I'm gonna just drag this over here. I'm just gonna set it right here. And so what'll happen is the new shot will automatically, like whatever is shown in the program panel is whatever is on top. So it'll show this on top of one on the bottom. So if I want to adjust the audio from that one, but I didn't do that when I started, then I would just put one on top of the file, and it would keep the same audio, but just give me a different video shot. And so this is a new shot. Now, if you were having, I don't think I've ever done this before. I have seen people do it, but say I wanted like a really artsy, like I wanted this to be like a blurry, like shot kind of thing, or you could like see this one like below it. Then I could do like a, I would go to my effects and I could do like, it's a cross dissolve. And let's see. So I could put this here, I could move this here. So then it's like a weird, like, you can kind of like see both. So you can do that. And then also if say this shot isn't like its full size, which just happens sometimes, then it'll look like this. So you'll have this one on top, but it's like smaller. So you can just like go into your effect controls in the top left panel and scale it to 100%. Or if you want to zoom in, you can bring it all the way here if you want to. I don't know. You want to avoid zooming in unless you shoot in what's called 4K. So what 4K will do is the file sizes are bigger, but 4K will allow you to zoom in and out without like causing pixelation in your shot. You don't really need 4K very often. I've never like really had to zoom in, like, so I've never had a reason to use 4K, but you may want to use it for some publications, or some places will like only take 4K footage. So I don't know. So yeah, so you have that, you put it on top. If you want to add like another video or audio, what are the things called? Track. What you can do is you'll go into your project bin, say I want to put this one here, and then I need one more. So you can literally just like drag it to the top and it'll make a new one for you. Yep, that's that. Okay, so all these little icons and stuff. So this one, never used before. It's like to voiceover record. I just do voiceovers like on my own mic and like put it in. I would never voice record over like in Premiere. Your S is a solo track, so that means that I would only hear, so say I had like multiple audio tracks, I would only hear what's on the one that's soloed. Mute is if I wanted to mute this track, and so you just hear the ones that are down here, so I would just mute. And then, so those are all different for audio. And then you can lock, which means that you like can't move anything, you can't do anything with it. I've never done that before, but I hear some people who do that. I can't imagine why, but they do it anyways. And then you have your video little icons. I've never used the toggle sync locks before, but I will use the toggle track output. So essentially what that'll do is say I wanted to like check and see what the shot looks like with the shot on the bottom. So I would just click this, and it means you can't see the top shot anymore, and all you would see is this one. And so I could toggle that on and off, and it'll just switch that for you. And that'll happen for that entire track. So if I like just want this like one shot to not show up, but the rest of the project to show up, I would have to move that file to its own track and toggle that whole track off, because I should probably explain that better. So say I wanted to do like this, and I wanted this shot to not, like I want to toggle this one off, but say I did like this, but I wanted this bottom one on, it'll leave this whole row off for the rest of the sequence. So I would have to say I wanted this one off, so I'd move this one up, toggle this on, toggle this one off, and that way this one is still on. And so you can still see that. So just like, again, it's like a lot of just like logic, but it just can seem really intimidating. That's that. Now let's just get into cutting. I know that it's almost 7:00. I didn't think this, I also thought that I didn't have enough put down, but I guess I did. Yeah, that was the autosave you just saw. It was saving just automatically for me because I haven't pressed Command S at all because I don't know what I'm doing. Say when I make a cut. So a cut would be, I wanted this shot to go on for this long, and then I wanted to stop it, and I wanted this shot to go for the rest of this time. So what I would do is I would press, you can use one of these keys. Which one? Okay, so you can use this, which is the razor tool, or a shortcut is C. So I'll click C, and it brings up this like little eraser thing. It looks like an eraser. I don't know what it actually is. It's an eraser, right? That gives me eraser vibes. So I have an eraser. I'm looking to see what it is. I have an eraser, and I would just go to wherever I wanted to cut and just left click, and it cut it for me. And so now I could click this and delete this. That way now when I click play, it switches for me. So it goes from here, and then once the top one runs out, it'll go back onto the bottom one, just like that. So if you wanted to cut an entire, I'm thinking of an example why I would do this. So if I wanted to cut like an entire track, so if I wanted to cut this video track, this one, and this audio track, I could do Command, Shift, and K, and it cuts everything straight down. And so that way I could just like drag this and move all this together. So that's Command, Shift, K. And so you have that. And then say I want to put these, sorry, give me 1 second. Did you get Josh's text, Caleb? Sorry, my brother is almost done with work, and my brother has to go get on my other desk. So what would happen if I had this was that it would essentially go black because there's no clip there, so you don't see or hear anything, and it would pick back up once it found something else that it wanted to show. And so if I had that, but I didn't really like it, the pause is weird to me. I could click in the space and it makes it white, and I could click delete and it brings it back together. Now, say for some reason, I don't know, I wanted these, so this was all one continuous clip before, right? But I split it up, but just for convenience sake, I want to put it back together so that it like appears as a single clip. And that is helpful if you have like a lot of different cuts, so that like which ones are actual different shots and which ones are just one cut that you cut in half that you didn't have to. I would right click and I would click join through edit, and that only works if it was originally one continuous shot. So if I would right click, join through edits for each individual clip. So say if I put this one in here and I did like I Command Shift K this, and I brought this over here, and then I brought this here. This is not the same thing as this one. So I couldn't join these together because they were never one clip to begin with. So that's a little bit of that. So yeah, that's what you have there. Let me see what else I can go over real quickly. Okay. Let's go to a couple more shortcuts. My favorite shortcut, I think it's my favorite shortcut. Let's see, I'm just gonna put a bunch of different clips on here. Let's just dump this one here and add a little bit, and we're gonna put this one here. Oop, okay, this one here, and then we'll put like, let's say this one. This is Julio. He's so cute. I love him. I'll put Julio here. Okay, so these are my clips. Now say I wanted to insert something in between these two clips. But what'll happen is if I move this one over, it'll cut whatever was like blocking it. So this one will now, so this clip right here will now start right there instead of where it was starting, say back here. So what I would do is I want to move everything that's after where I want to cut forward. And so what I would do is, to give me a space in between for me to put in whatever my new file is. So I would press the A key, and A gives me this thing called Track Select Forward tool. And I would click somewhere, and what it will do is it'll select everything after, like everything that's after the clip that I've selected. So if I hit A and I click this, it selects everything after this clip right here. If I click this, it'll get everything. So if I just do this, everything's after, and I can move it forward. That way I get a space, and so I can import, say I wanted to put this freaking blurry shot in here that I don't know why I took this shot in here. I could just now dump this here, and then I could click A again, click this, and move it all back so it's all seamless again. So that's the A key. We did Command Shift K. We did C. What other important shortcuts do I use? Actually, I think I have a shortcut slide that I'm going to get to. I thought of everything. Zyra or Hannah or Emily, are there any things that you think I'm missing in Premiere? Just like basics of.
I think maybe it's not a shortcut, but
one important note is once you start editing your Premiere, don't move your files around or rename them back in your folder,
Yes,
because that'll screw you
yes,
over. That
yes.
I
So
learned that the hard way.
yes. So essentially what happens is Premiere, in order to show your files, it remembers where they were stored on your hard drive. So that's why you always have to plug in your hard drive to open your Premiere project, because it's going to just go back to your hard drive and find those files, which it assumes will be in the same place every time. And so to do this, I went and like changed a bunch of file names and folder names because me and Matthew didn't do this right the first time. So if I went back and I opened our old Premiere project, it wouldn't know what to do because I renamed all my folders, all my files, so it wouldn't know where to reference stuff from. So honestly, that'd be so chaotic if I tried to, actually, I'm gonna try it. Let's go for it. Okay. So, oh, this is gonna be so bad. It might take a while too. Let's see. I'm going JR. No, sorry. Give me 1 second. Different hard drive. I'm a disorganized mess, as I'm sure you can tell right now. So say I wanted to, plugged in my new hard drive. It's gonna bring it up right here. It should at least. Let's see. We're gonna, whenever you, yep. So we brought it up. We have JR1 here. Going 584. I hope this is the right hard drive. Yep, we have Belize. See, we didn't do this right at all. This is a hot disaster. But say I wanted to open B-roll scrub, because why not? So it's gonna take a while to open up. But essentially what it'll say, I hope that it goes wrong in that way. You can see what it looks like. But what it'll say essentially is cannot find all these files. And I will have to essentially like find each individual file for Premiere so that it can access them itself. So this is locating media. So what'll happen is it couldn't locate X amount of files because I changed the folder names from the files. So just gonna let this do its thing. Oh, hey, Alicia, I see you're here. I just saw your name and I was looking at everyone who's here. Oh, hello, Landon. Wow, this is a fun little squad we got going on here. This is cool. Yeah, so what's happening right now is it's looking for these files and it can't find them. And if it wants to load at any point in time, look, I know it's wrong, it's fine. You can tell me, you don't have to try for me. Just show me that it's wrong. But what will happen is I'll have to locate all the files that are missing if it ever wants to show me said files. It's trying really hard. Premiere really wants to work with you. But right now, needed to not work with me. And I think that's what we're missing here. Okay, let me just try cancel. Let's see what happens. This is the last thing that I'll show you. Okay, perfect. So we have missing media for these clips. So essentially what's happened is all the ones that are checked are found. Those are fine, those are good. So what's happened is it is saying, this is where I thought, so the file path right here is where I thought it should be. This is the file name, it's not there. Can you show me where I'm supposed to go to? So what I would do is I would go to locate on the bottom, I'll click locate, and I would go into my hard drive and I would literally try and find that file for Premiere. Yeah, so for Premiere. So say I was looking for this file, maybe I don't actually know where it is, to be quite frank. But I do, I go into my files, I go into chocolate egg, where should it be? So this is where it expects that it will be. Oh, I know what I did with it. So I think I put it in this folder for this lesson. So I would go to JR is here. And then I would go to video. That's where it hopes that it is. And then, so it's actually here instead. Whoops. So I would click, it's processing all the files. So this is the one that it's looking for. So it's now in a different place. So I'll just click this and I'll click OK. And usually what will happen is it'll sense that and common sense will kick in. And it'll like now find the rest of them because it's like, okay, you found this one, which is here. So all the subsequent ones in that same folder are also going to be right here. So I don't have to locate every single file because Premiere has common sense. So it'll do it for me, which is what it's doing now. We don't have to go through all that, but that's what would happen if you change your file names, or if you change your folders, or if you move anything around. Because like I said, Premiere doesn't actually hold those files. It is pulling them from a hard drive or particular file, or it's pulling them from somewhere. So when they're not there, it's like, where am I supposed to be going for this project? To get to find them. So that's why it's really important that on the front end, you do all of this work. That way you don't have to change stuff and then refine all your files. Also, really important thing, it's super important that you make sure that you and your partner or your whole team all have all the files. I remember, because me and Matthew weren't together for Bitter and Sweet, and so like I would open the Premiere project every single time, and there'd be files that I never got from Matthew, and I'm like, hey, where is, like, and so it's just like really frustrating, a big headache to have to do all that stuff, just because it really, like, it's so frustrating to, like, while you're trying to edit and like get things done quickly, you have to say like, hey, can you send me, it says that all these files should be in this folder. I don't have this folder. Can you send me all, 5 gigs of this folder, please? And then you have to send, a bunch of different times, because WeTransfer doesn't take 5 gigs. So you have to, do it in increments of 2, and it just takes hours, and it's just like a severe waste of time. So one, make sure you all have the same naming convention and all the same files. And 2, it's so important that you not, like Hannah said in the chat, rename or change or move anything at all when you start. Like, once you started, you're locked in. If you have like a file or 2, it's probably fine. Or if you just move like an entire folder, fine. But you do not want to shuffle everything around halfway into the project. It'll be the biggest headache in the entire world. I have done it before. Takes hours. It's incredibly miserable. So that's super important. So with that, are there any questions that folks have about Premiere or file naming and file structures? I'll give like 5 seconds just to get people to type. Because I know this could have been a lot, and so I just like want to give room. Just metadata management. No. I've never like needed to. Also, give me 1 second. Sorry. I hate trackpads personally. I think mice are so much better. And I only have 2 like USB ports. So I have to unplug my mouse so I could plug in the hard drive, and I want the mouse back. So just give me 1 second. Because trackpads are just so like not convenient, and they just take forever, and and like right clicking is such like a whodunit game. Like, you never know if you've like right clicked correctly or not. It's just a mess. I'm not a fan personally. Sorry, give me a second. Well, I'm not gonna go in depth into this because it's a disaster and it's just like not fun. But for Silent Sam, we shot the doc that I did sophomore year. We shot on like all different cameras, and we had cell phone footage and like all these different things. And so none of it looked right or the same in a Premiere project because they were all different files. And so what I would do is, in that case, I would do this thing called transcoding footage, which you would go into this what's it called? This program called Media Encoder, and you would transcode it all in the same file format. Like I said, it's an absolute pain and it takes forever. Like, I remember one time, or a lot of times, we would like encode footage and like leave for the night and just like put a sign saying like, encoding footage, don't use this computer, and come back the next morning because it would take you like 24 hours to encode footage. So yes, you use that if you were shooting on like a bunch of different cameras and stuff, but not super necessary all the time. Yeah, so metadata, I don't think it matters. If someone else knows that it does, feel free to let me know. I've never, like, it's never been a problem. And in terms of, you add the metadata, you literally just like, you put your memory card in your computer and you just drag all the files onto your hard drive. So it'll drag everything that's like with it, like all that data that's with it, it'll drag it as well. So you don't really have to do any of that work yourself, which is beautiful. Alicia, hello. Color correction. Oof. Okay. So I'm not even gonna like, actually, okay, give me a second. Oh, dang it. I should have saved it. See, I didn't save, you see? Wait, but it auto saved. So let's see if I can find that file. You see, this is where it comes in handy. Let's see if it did it. Oh, is this it? Let's see if this is it. Let's hope this is it. We're just gonna pray. Let's see. Ah, you see, it auto saved for me. Amazing. So color correction. Oh, color correction sucks. But you can, I hate to do this, but you can make a lot of money doing color correction because no one knows how to do it, but everybody needs it. So if you get good at it, you can make bank. Like I went to a color workshop last summer in DC, and the guy was like talking, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I just pay you to do it. Like he like makes so much money. Cause again, like every film needs color correcting, but nobody wants to do it because it takes so much time and work and effort and everything. So if you want to learn, you'll always be in demand. Okay, so this is just some footage. So say I wanted like a bunch of different shots and they didn't all look the same. So you don't want to color correct until your film is done. So what I would do is make the film, put everything together, cut it all, and then I would like, turn in my cut and get a sign off. And once you know that it is where it needs to be and that every shot is where it's supposed to be and you're not going to change anything after that or particularly add any footage. If you change stuff around, it's maybe more okay because you've already colored everything. But once you add footage, it changes everything. So once all that's done, you'll begin color correcting. So essentially what you'll do is you'll, put in a bunch of, you have all your different files on here. There's, 8,000 files if you're making a feature film. Definition. So a feature film is anything over half an hour. A short is half an hour and below. That's what I mean by feature. So like, hour and a half on documentaries that you watch on PBS, whatever, usually features. I've only made shorts. I think I'm working on my first feature now, but before now, I've only ever worked on shorts. So, because they're just easier, or not, they're actually kind of like more challenging because like you have to cram a story into, half an hour or less, but they're just like, they're shorter, like they're easier because they're shorter, essentially. You don't have to like, they don't take as long, usually sometimes. So I have all these files in here and it's just, computers are slow because laptops are just not as fast as desktops. So I have all these files, and let's say I'm just gonna mess up the color. So I go to color up here, like I told you, I change the interface. And yes, Alicia, with them making money, it's really a good business to get into. And like I said, you will always be in demand, and you can do remotely. So like you can always, like, you don't have to be in person to color correct. So you can like live in Texas or in, North Dakota and color correct for people anywhere. They can just like send you a hard drive of all the files and the projects, and you can do it from your house. So you don't have to ever like go anywhere or meet anyone. It's super nice. So I go to color. Actually, no, I'm gonna stick in editing. I prefer editing more than anything else. Editing, and essentially what they tell you to do is the first thing you want to do is like get a hero shot. Find a shot that you want to work in, that you like want to be your base. Like I want the whole film to look kind of like this. So say I want to do this one. I want it to look like, tilde. Oh, my favorite shortcut. So this is all like, it's kind of small. So say I have like a 5-minute film together. I want to look at it, or I have, I'm putting everything together. I want to look at it full screen. I would press the tilde, which is tilde is like the little, like the squiggly line above like ains in Spanish. So it's on the top left of my computer. I hit tilde and it would full screen whatever is highlighted in blue. So if I was this highlighted in blue, a tilde, oopsies, tilde this would get bigger. If I did this one, this would get bigger, etc. So say I wanted to just like look at it all full screen, I would tilde this and then hit spacebar, and it's not moving. It's slow because my computer's slow and these files are big, but it'll show like what's happening, and you can like drag it, and you can go forward and backward. That's Tilde. That's a life changer. Oh, one more thing. J and L, my beauties. So if you want to like fast forward, essentially, you can hit L, and you can like keep going to go faster and faster, and it'll fast you forward. And then you'll hit K to like stop it. If you want to go backward, you can hit J, and then move backwards. You can click it more than once to make it go faster and faster, just in case you want to like scrub somewhere. And so you find a hero shot. So this one, I would go, see if it's effects. There should be a color thing without doing it the other way. Yes, okay, so I have this thing called Lumetri color. I had something called Luminetri color. It's really whatever you want to call it. No one knows what it's actually called. So this is your Lumetri color. I mostly work under basic correction. So, and my photo people in here, you'll have an idea of all of these because you use them. There's your contrast, your highlights, your shadows, your temperature. It's photo editing, but for video. It's like the same deal. So you will, you'd make it warmer or colder. Warmer is like more orange, and colder is more blue. You can add some contrast. You can, up the saturation, bring your shadows down. So this is what I want my film to kind of look like. Actually, it's kind of cool. I'm actually kind of into that. I like that. It's very dramatic. So they tell you to have your hero image, and that's like your first shot that you kind of want to show to your editor to be like, hey, is this color correcting style okay? Because what you'd hate to do is color correct it all and then show it to your editor. He's like, I hate this. And now you got to recolor correct everything. So you do a hero image, you pick maybe the one that's like a wide shot or the most representative of your film, and you'll correct that one and show it to your editor, be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. I want, super cold temperature. I want, high stark contrast, etc. And so they'll okay it. And so now you'll go into all your other things. And color correcting it's hard because it changes based off of like where you are. So what I was told for color correcting is to color correct efficiently and effectively. You want to color correct in the dark. So like I color correct, I turn off all the lights, and it's like just my computer and me, because your eyes see color differently when it has light coming from your window and light coming from the tungsten light above you. And so it'll look weird. So for the most objective, it's like movie theaters are in, all dark, because you can see the colors their best when it's dark. So, do it in the dark, figure out, it's totally subjective. Like it's all based off of how you want your film to look. So if you wanted, say, LUTs are essentially filters, and I don't use LUTs. The guy that I took a class from was like, I would avoid using LUTs. LUTs are, like I said, filters. You can put them on your entire film. So say I wanted to do like I don't know what any of these things are. We're just gonna see what happens when I click this. So this would give me this kind of look, and I can put this same LUT on all of them. Which one was it? Was it K? This one? Yeah. I could put the same LUT on all of these, and it like does the same thing. They're like faded film LUTs. You can have like a faded film look. All depends on the film that you're doing. If you want like an older looking film, you want it to be, more orange and less contrasty and, like more faded look, you can do that. Like it's totally up to you. But I usually would mostly mess with contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks, and maybe a temperature, not a tint super often, but you can do a tint. And I would occasionally do where am I looking at? Nope, not these. Come on, okay, let's see. I would do color wheels and match every once in a while, which is essentially like you can do your midtones, you can make those more pink, and you can do like different things, because sometimes Premiere will strip color when you export. So for instance, Premiere has a bad habit of stripping the greens from your exports. So I may like put more green in it. So it'll look really green in here, but when you export it, it'll look, fine. Yes, those are my color correcting tips. Color correcting is hard. So just like give yourself grace. It's a lot of work. It takes a long time. And you will a lot of times literally have to go through every single shot, excuse me, every single shot and like color correct it yourself. Because a lot of times like this shot and this shot are not the same. So what I could do sometimes, I could just click Command C and copy, or just click copy. And I could go to this shot and click right click and click paste attributes. And I can decide that I just want to paste the color. So it'll paste all the same settings from the previous shot onto this shot. But because this shot was shot on different, like it's just like a different shot, the light's different, everything is different, it looks a lot like not the same as this one. So you like will oftentimes have to go in and color correct every single individual shot. It takes a long time. Like I said, it's sometimes fun, sometimes not fun, depending on what you're feeling. The FX is tough to compare. Oh, wait, what? Alicia, huh? FX, I'm learning stuff. Hold up. Wait. Wind that back. You can click what?
Press that FX button next to Lumetri color, and it like shows your original file.
Wow.
And then goes to the edited one if you press it again. Lucas showed me that. It's crazy.
Wow. Okay. So yes, you can look at the difference if you click this FX button. Thank you, Alicia. Wow. Okay, that's incredible. Okay, I've talked your ear off for entirely too long, but I'm going to do it for a little bit longer if no one has any more Premiere questions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sweet. Okay, if you have any, feel free to, let me know. Last slide. Woo! I'm almost out of your hair. Lucky you. So these are just like a list of some of the shortcuts. If you want to like screenshot this, you can. To play and pause, spacebar, Command Shift K, like I said, will cut through every single track. Your razor tool, which is like your cut tool, your scissors essentially. C, selection tool is V. So say I'll go that a second. Select all forward is your A, and so that'll let you like select from this clip on. You can move everything. Fast forward is L. Fast backward is J. And I'm going to show you what the selection tool means. And the good thing is that a lot of these like tips and tricks and stuff, or a lot of the names for stuff, extend into the other Premiere or the other Adobe Suite programs. So like you have the razor tool in Adobe Illustrator, which is for like graphic design stuff as well. Or you may have the razor tool in Photoshop as well. So it's like nice that you have that for, what's that thing called? For After Effects, I don't know what to tell you. After Effects is a disaster. I don't use it because it's completely miserable. Hana knows, and Zara knows, and Alicia knows too. It is the bane of everyone's existence. So your selection tool is what lets you click things. If I'm on like the cut tool, if I click C, I can't like click and drag things. I can only cut things. I just click V to go back to that thing, to go back to the selection tool so I can move and drag stuff. I think, whoopsie daisy, where am I? What am I doing? What's happening? Yes, those are shortcuts. And I feel like editing is something that like you don't really know until you like actually do it. So if at any point in time like you want to get a bunch of footage collected like from your phone or something, and like you want to Zoom with me and I can like walk you through it like with you doing it, that way you're not watching, you're doing it, because that's what really helped me. Because at least for me, like Premiere only gets easier when I do it. So if you want to Zoom meeting with me or something, and I can just like walk you through how to do those things like with your own footage, I'd be more than happy to do so. Yes, you can follow the UNC Viscom. Also, I'm sure like if you DM UNC Viscom or NPPA and like you ask, Hannah would be more than happy to be like, hey y'all, this person DM'd this and like wants someone to help them do this. Who's down? And they'd be more than happy to help you out. Yeah, so that's everything. Does anyone have any questions at all? Feel free to ask in here. I know we kind of went through a lot. Premiere is a lot, but it's like, I don't know. I find it really fun to work in now. Like, I know this is probably going to sound kind of masochistic, and I think it is, but I'm at my happiest pulling all-nighters editing. Like, I literally am so incredibly happy. It is, to me, the most fun thing. Like, this is, I think I feel really lucky. Whenever I had a friend a couple months ago, he asked me, he was like, if money wasn't a factor in like you chasing your dreams, what would you do? And I was like, what I'm doing, which is just like really dope. But like, so, and granted, I'm broke as a joke. Like, it doesn't, I mean, I'm not, sorry, I should stop doing that. I'm not broke. It's just like, I'm not, rich. Like, I don't get paid, big bucks. But I love what I do. And like, I think that, video communities are really strong and like really cool. And, excuse me, if you go into freelancing, like freelance filmmaking, or gosh, what's wrong with me? Or like freelance video production, that is like all word of mouth. So it's like really important for you to like make connections and meet people. And even like most cities have like the film community. Like in Durham, there's like a really, really dope, like Durham, Chapel Hill, or Raleigh, there's like a really dope film community. And they're just like really cool people. I have like my greatest friends I met at like a doc program I did last summer. Like, I don't know, it's just really cool. People who do film and like video production are really cool and really fun to like learn from. And it's also like, you were never done learning with video. So just like, don't be discouraged. Like, if I showed you my first video that I ever did by myself, it's like a disaster. It's like, so not what I would show anyone now. But like, it just comes from practicing and like doing the work and critiquing your own work honestly and openly and asking your friends to do it. Critiques are so important. Yeah, I don't know. I think video production is so fun and filmmaking is so fun. And like I said, freelancing is tough. But working a full-time job is also tough, like working somewhere. But I don't know. It's really fun. And I hope that you didn't feel too intimidated by this. But if you did and would love like I said, a one-on-one breakdown, I'd be more than happy to, carve some time out and just like sit with anyone and go through it again. Just cause I don't know, I want people to like this cause it's really fun. It's really cool. But yes, any more questions, feel free to go on the chat and ask them. And like Emily said, our next session is on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, where you'll see me again. Really sorry about that. I'm going to make my slides for that on Monday morning. I'll be teaching video storytelling and story structure, and all that kind of stuff and archival footage. Please click the link to give us feedback, and you can register for more sessions. And the other link, and then like I said, please follow UNC BizCom on Instagram and Twitter, and NPPA on Facebook. Yeah, I think that's everything. Feel free to follow me at Jeremiah Rhodes on Twitter and Instagram. And if you have any questions, send me an email. Like I said, I would be more than happy to help in any way that I can. Because this was a lot of information in a short amount of time. So thanks for listening to me ramble for an hour and a half. Y'all really did that. Honestly, thank you, because I probably wouldn't have done it for me. But thank you. Yes. Now I'm just talking out of my behind, so somebody please start talking instead. Hannah, Emily, whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, wait, just
wait,
one more minute for any last questions, and then
That's right.
I'll end the call.
Cool. We'll do one more minute. If you want to ask anything. Yeah. I hope everyone's like healthy and doing okay too. At least as best as we can. Everything's crazy, but I hope everyone's like staying safe and staying healthy and wearing masks. And to all those going back to school, please be safe, because but I'm rooting for you all and sending you love. Well, right on. Okay.
Thank you everyone for coming, and we hope to see you on Monday.